Karen was dead. At least, that's what I thought when I saw her sprawled in the snow, her neon pink parka splayed out like a crime scene chalk outline, my snow shovel clutched in her rigid, gloved hands. My heart stopped. Had I killed her somehow? Had my simmering rage over her petty neighborhood tyranny finally snapped me into madness? But then her chest heaved, a plume of frosty breath puffing out, and those beady eyes snapped open, locking onto me with a glare that could have melted the drifts around her. She wasn't dead, she was just dramatic, and she'd stolen my shovel. It was a crisp Tuesday morning, the kind where the air bites your lungs and the snow crunches underfoot like a symphony of tiny breaking bones. I'd been out since dawn, carving a pristine path through the foot-deep powder blanketing my driveway. My shovel wasn't some cheap hardware store junk. It was a masterpiece, sleek, lightweight, with an ergonomic grip and a heating element in the handle that kept my fingers from turning into icicles. I'd saved up for months to buy it, a small rebellion against the brutal winters of this cul-de-sac hellscape. I'd just finished, the sweat still clinging to my brow, and propped the shovel against my porch railing to grab a coffee from inside. 2 minutes. That's all it took for Karen to strike. I came back, mug in hand, steam curling up into the frigid air, and froze. The shovel was gone. My eyes darted around, nothing but untouched snow and the faint whistle of wind. Then I saw them, tracks, fresh and deliberate, cutting across the cul-de-sac like a taunting arrow. Ugg boots, size 7, if I had to guess, with that telltale flat, smug tread. They led straight to Karen's McMansion next door, a gaudy monstrosity with fake shutters and a mailbox shaped like a swan. She'd been eyeing my shovel for weeks, ever since I caught her borrowing my salt spreader without asking. I should have known she'd escalate. Rage surged through me, hot and electric, thawing the chill in my bones. I stormed across the street, snow crunching under my boots, and pounded on her door with a fist that felt like it could splinter the wood. The curtains twitched. Oh, she was home, all right. The door creaked open a sliver, and there she was, Karen, peering out like a feral animal caught mid-scavenge, her peroxide blonde bob framing a face twisted into a mask of faux innocence. "What do you want?" she snapped, her voice nasal and sharp, like a kazoo played by a toddler. "My shovel," I growled, pointing past her. There it was, leaning against her foyer wall, a traitor in her clutches. A droplet of melted snow slid off the blade, pooling on her pristine hardwood floor, evidence she couldn't deny. Her eyes narrowed, and she puffed up, all 5'2" of her radiating the entitlement of a dictator in a parka. "What shovel?" she said, crossing her arms. "This. Oh, this is for community use now. You don't own the snow, you know." Before I could lunge forward, or scream something I'd regret, she slammed the door, the thud echoing in the still morning air. I stood there, fists clenched, breath fogging in furious bursts. Community use. That was my asterisk shovel, my pride, my weapon against this frozen purgatory. Karen didn't just take it. She stole a piece of me, a shard of my sanity in this neighborhood of passive-aggressive notes and HOA fines. I trudged back to my house, the cold seeping into my bones, but my mind was ablaze. She wanted to play dirty. Fine. I'd fight back, not with words, not with cops, but with something she'd never see coming, something cold, something towering. I glanced at the thermometer on my porch, -15. A grin crept across my face, sharp and dangerous. Karen had no idea what she'd unleashed. This wasn't just about a shovel anymore. This was war, and I'd build my victory one icy inch at a time. Sleep was a distant dream that night, chased away by the howling wind that clawed at my windows like a beast begging to be let in. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Karen's smug face burned into my mind, her sneering community use echoing like a taunt. The stolen shovel wasn't just a tool, it was a gauntlet thrown down, and I'd be damned if I let her win. The wind's wail shifted, whispering something darker, something brilliant. I bolted upright, heart racing. I'd seen a video once, a wild-eyed Finn on YouTube, cackling as he sculpted ice towers with nothing but a hose and a deep freeze. It was -15 outside, the kind of cold that turned breath to crystals mid-air. An idea crystallized too, A 15-foot ice wall around Karen's house, not just a barrier, a monument to her defeat, a glistening cage for her smug little kingdom. I stumbled to my laptop, the glow of the screen casting sharp shadows across my face. My fingers flew, sketching a madman's blueprint, a ring of ice encircling her property, tall enough to blot out her precious bay windows, thick enough to withstand her inevitable tantrum. I'd need water, pressure, and stealth. The garage was my armory. I tore through it like a man possessed, dragging out a tangle of garden hoses stiff with cold, a sprinkler system I'd impulse bought for a summer I barely remembered, and a pressure pump from a failed hydroponics stint. Its growl still worked, thank God. By midnight, I was outside, breath puffing in white clouds, my pajamas swapped for a parka and boots. The cul-de-sac was a ghost town, silent but for the wind's mournful tune. Stealth was key. Karen's house loomed across the street, its silhouette a smug Goliath. I crept along her property line, burying hoses under snowdrifts, their green coils vanishing into the white like serpents in ambush. The sprinkler heads I staked at intervals, angling them upward. Jets of water would arc and freeze, building my wall layer by layer. My fingers ached, numb despite gloves, as I wrestled the pump into place behind my own shed, its hose snaking across the street, under a camouflage of shoveled snow. At 2 a.m., I flipped the switch. The pump roared to life, a low snarl muffled by the night. Water sprayed skyward, delicate plumes catching the streetlight's glow before hardening into ice mid-flight. It was hypnotic, each droplet a brick, each gust of wind a mason's hand. By 3 a.m., the wall was 3 feet high, a fragile ring of frost shimmering around Karen's house. I tweaked the pressure, adjusted the nozzles, and watched it climb. 4 feet, 5, 6. The cold gnawed at me, but adrenaline kept me warm. Dawn crept in, grey and slow, painting the ice in hues of pink and gold. At 6 feet, it was a marvel, a translucent fortress, jagged at the edges, trapping Karen's McMansion like a dragon's hoard. I staggered back to my porch, coffee mug trembling in my hands, and grinned. She'd wake to a prison of my making, her smugness iced out. Victory tasted sharp, like frost on metal. But then I heard it, a low hum, faint at first, like a distant lawnmower in winter. My grin faltered. It grew louder, insistent rumbling from Karen's direction. I squinted through the dawn haze. Her garage door was still shut, her windows dark, but that sound, it wasn't natural, it wasn't the wind. My gut twisted. Had she heard the pump? Was she awake, plotting? I gripped my mug tighter, steam curling up like a question mark. The wall stood tall, a silent sentinel, but that hum gnawed at my triumph. Karen wasn't the type to sleep through a siege. She was up to something, something loud, something mechanical. I set the mug down, my breath quickening. Whatever it was, I'd be ready. The war wasn't over. It was just getting started. The sun clawed its way up the horizon, spilling weak light across the cul-de-sac, and my ice wall stood at 10 feet, a towering, shimmering beast that turned Karen's house into a fortress under siege. I'd been up all night, tweaking the pump, dodging frostbite, and now I leaned against my porch railing, exhaustion warring with glee. The wall was a masterpiece, its surface rippling with frozen waves, catching the dawn in a kaleidoscope of icy fire. Karen wouldn't just wake up to a surprise, she'd wake up trapped. I was mid-sip of my third coffee when her front door banged open, and there she was, neon pink parka zipped to her chin, my shovel gripped like a warlord's staff. She stopped dead, jaw unhinging as she took in the wall. For a glorious second, I thought she'd faint. Then her lips tightened, her eyes narrowed to slits, and she spun back inside without a word. I smirked, checkmate, Karen. But that hum I'd heard earlier, that low mechanical growl, swelled again, louder now, vibrating through the snow. My smirk died. Her garage door rattled, then rolled up with a groan, and out rolled a snowblower. Not some piddly Home Depot model. No, this was a hulking industrial monstrosity, its black metal frame glinting like a tank, and strapped to its front, jury-rigged with duct tape and spite, was a flamethrower, its nozzle spitting a test burst of orange that melted a puddle into the snow. Where the hell does a suburban Karen get a flamethrower snowblower? I didn't have time to wonder. She aimed it at my wall and pulled the trigger. Fire roared out, a dragon's breath licking the ice. Steam hissed skyward as the wall wept, chunks slowing off in glistening torrents. The snowblower kicked in, its blades whirring, blasting the melted mess back toward my house in a vengeful blizzard. I dove behind my window, heart hammering, snow splattering the glass like gunfire. She was unhinged. Karen had gone full Mad Max over a shovel. I scrambled to my pump, cranking it to max. Water gushed from the sprinklers, arcs freezing midair, patching the breaches faster than she could burn them. The wall fought back, climbing to 13 feet, its edges jagged and defiant, reflecting her flamethrower's glow like a disco inferno. I laughed, wild and ragged, let her try to melt asterisk. She didn't stop. The flamethrower roared, the snowblower screamed, and Karen shrieked over it all. "You'll pay for this, you freak." Her parka hood flew back, revealing a face twisted with fury, sweat beading despite the cold. I crouched by my setup, hands shaking as I tightened a hose clamp. The wall held, but the ground was a swamp of slush, steam rising like battlefield smoke. Then I saw it, a flicker in her upstairs window, a shadow moving behind the curtains. My stomach dropped. Someone else was in there. A roommate, a boyfriend. I squinted, but the glare off the ice blinded me. The shadow shifted, tall, broad, deliberate. Not a casual bystander, an ally. Karen paused, wiping her brow, and glanced up at that window. She nodded, sharp, purposeful, and the hum changed pitch, higher, angrier. The garage rattled again, and I braced myself. Was she rolling out a second machine? A freaking snow tank? My wall shimmered, a fortress of spite, but doubt crept in. I'd built it to trap her, not an army. The shadow vanished, and footsteps thudded inside her house, heavy and fast. Whoever it was, they were coming. I gripped a wrench, knuckles white, my breath fogging in bursts. Karen turned back to the wall, flamethrower blazing, but her smirk was new, sharp, knowing. She wasn't just fighting me, she was playing me. The wall stood tall, 13 feet of frozen fury, but the real battle was about to ignite, and I had no idea who I was up against. Noon hit like a hammer, the sun glaring down on my 15-foot ice wall, a crystalline colossus now encasing Karen's house in a ring of shimmering vengeance. The cul-de-sac buzzed with neighbors, their phones out, snapping pics of the spectacle. Ice Guy versus Flamethrower Karen was trending local, and I stood on my porch, chest puffed with triumph. The wall was perfect, jagged spires crowning its top, its surface a mirror of frozen fury, reflecting Karen's neon pink parka. As she hacked at it with my shovel, she'd teamed up with Greg, the HOA president, who'd stormed out in a bathrobe, megaphone in hand, bellowing, "This ends now. Code 47B, no unapproved structures." His Prius idled nearby, exhaust puffing in the cold. Karen's cousin, that explained the snowblower, and her untouchable reign of terror. Greg slipped on the ice, megaphone screeching feedback, while Karen swung the shovel like a berserker, chips flying. "He's insane," she screeched, her voice cracking. I grinned. Let them rage. My wall was invincible, a testament to her theft. But then the wind shifted, sharp and biting, and something caught my eye, a faint green glow pulsing within the ice. I blinked, thinking it was a trick of the light, but no, tiny cracks spiderwebbed the surface, revealing crystalline flecks embedded deep, shimmering like emeralds caught in a spotlight. What the hell? I grabbed my binoculars, heart thudding. The glow wasn't random, it pulsed, rhythmic, alive. Had I hit a gas line, a mineral deposit? The ground trembled, a low rumble vibrating up my boots. Karen and Greg froze mid-assault, shovel and megaphone dangling. "You see that?" Greg muttered, his bathrobe flapping. Karen's eyes widened, the first crack of fear I'd ever seen on her. The wall shuddered, then grew spires stretching another 5 feet, curling inward like claws. The green glow flared, and a voice boomed, not from speakers, not from us, but from the ice itself. "Thief, return what is not yours." Deep, resonant, it shook the air, rattling my teeth. Tendrils of ice snaked from the wall, thin and whip fast, coiling toward Karen. She yelped, stumbling back, her shovel slipping from her grasp. The tendrils seized it, yanking it free, and hurling it across the street. It landed on my porch with a clang, pristine, like it had never left. The crowd gasped, phones dropping. Karen collapsed into a snowbank, sobbing, "Take it, I'm sorry." Greg bolted for his Prius, slipping again, his megaphone skidding away. The wall pulsed once more, then began to melt, not into water, but into a thick swirling mist that rose like a phantom, vanishing into the sky. In minutes, it was gone, leaving Karen's house bare, Greg's car a dripping shell, and my shovel back where it belonged. The neighbors muttered, "Mass hysteria," and dispersed, casting wary glances. Karen slunk inside, avoiding my gaze, her parka streaked with slush. I hefted the shovel, its weight a quiet victory, and smirked. Maybe it wasn't just a tool, maybe it had a will, a guardian spirit forged in my spite. I stood there, the cold biting my cheeks, and let the silence settle. Karen's defeat wasn't just in the shovel's return, it was in the humbling, the crack in her armor. But as I turned to head inside, a lesson gnawed at me, sharp and clear. Revenge feels good until it spirals beyond your grip. I'd built a wall to punish her, but something bigger, something I didn't control, had stepped in. What if it hadn't stopped at the shovel? What if it had taken more? Her, me, the whole damn street. I shivered, not from the cold, but from the truth. Spite can build a fortress, but it's a shaky throne. Next time Karen crossed me, I'd lock the shed instead. Some battles aren't worth waking the ice.